My name is Malcolm Jones, a sculptor who lives in IB.
Malcolm Jones is being modest here. He isn't just any sculptor who lives in Imperial Beach. He's the artist behind Surfhenge, one of the most iconic public art pieces in the South Bay. The piece is loosely modeled after Stonehenge and depicts colorful, giant surfboards right in front of the IB Pier.
The idea was that in the old days with the longboards, when the surfers would get out of the water, they would dig a little hole and stick the boards down in the hole and then mound it up so the board was straight up in the air. And that was so the wax wouldn't melt or get sand in it. So when they would stay in groups typically, and they would put their surfboards in slightly different positions depending on where the sun was when they decided to lay down.
Surfhenge is one of two major public art pieces built in the late 90s. The Port of San Diego commissioned the pieces in Imperial Beach to change public perception. Back then, the city was known more for drug dealers and biker gangs than public art.
25, 30 years ago, IB had a really bad reputation. When my wife and I were thinking about moving here, people asked us, why would you do that? My name is David Frank. I'm the executive director of Imperial Beach Arts Bureau. The reason we're here is to promote Imperial Beach and the public art scene. We really want IB to be known as a public arts destination.
Today, Imperial Beach is decorated with dozens of murals. The IB Arts Bureau even has an interactive map online where visitors can find every single piece of public art. Fink says that the start of that movement was Surfhenge and IB's second iconic art installation.
And then the spirit of IB, recognizing the surfing culture, and Dempsey Holder, who was so instrumental in starting the surf, the surf culture that happened here in the 50s and 60s.
The spirit of Imperial Beach shows an absolutely ripped surfer posing heroically next to a giant longboard. The surfer's face is modeled after local legend Dempsey Holder, but his body is inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger. A port commissioner at the time thought surfers were too puny and asked the sculptor to beef them up a little bit. The base of the metal statue is a sandcastle, an homage to the city's annual sandcastle building contest.
So between those two sculptures, those are probably the most photographed pieces that we've got in IB, and we're very proud of them.
The sculptor, A. Waisel, passed away before the piece was installed. Waisel and Jones worked on their two iconic projects together, both with the same goal of changing public perceptions.
The city was looking for an identity and a way to get people to know them. They came off what I call the pirate era, where the town was kind of lawless, and they fastened on historic surfing. And it was something that they had to offer. And this is a tribute to historic surfers who were down here braving these crazy waves.
Dempsey Holder was a local lifeguard who put Imperial Beach on the map. He encouraged other surfers to ride the massive waves at the mouth of the Tijuana River. Pro surfers would use those waves to train for big wave contests out in Hawaii.
They were riding waves as tall as 20, 25 feet with these wooden boards that weighed like 90 pounds. They didn't have any wetsuits. The good waves were in the wintertime, and they were famous around here.
Unfortunately, today cross-border sewage keeps most surfers away from that once famous break. But there are still a few dedicated surfers who paddle out during the big winter swells. And even though cross-border sewage continues to close the Imperial Beach coastline, the two public art pieces remain a source of inspiration. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.